Hey, hello. Thank you for getting distracted. It's like the people here when they fuck up, huh? So, what I want to talk about is some advice that I look back and will give myself, another person who was young in their 20s. You know, basically, all of a sudden, you're sir. Everybody treats you just like every other man, but you have no skills. School lied to you. You got ready for nothing. You don't know how to manage a bank account. You never had a job. Um, Never lived on your own. Probably barely been to another city or town or country. And all of a sudden, you are competing with everybody else and they treat you just as such, even if you don't know nothing. And the world is just, it's relentless. And that's one thing that I think the fake institutional environments like schools, they they purposely want men to, like, the moment that they are on their own, that they feel overwhelmed and they can't handle it. That's why you have to go to cults and different institutions and gangs, or cater to the work environment because that's your only place to survive, and that becomes a new social circle. Instead of crafting your own way, you have to. I remember when I first got a job. Well, it wasn't my first job, but it was my first job in New York, and it was working in Macy's. You got to dress up and you got to look all nice. You got to wear a suit, everything on point. The hair, you look you look like you work in Wall Street when you work at Macy's or you go to the interview. And I remember when I went on my own and I applied to different places, there were people with little crackheads. They hire them. They wouldn't hire me because you don't have experience, whatever it is. And you're getting interviewed by a 19-year-old HR girl that she probably has even less experience than you at the world, but she's there because life enabled that and has you in that position. And it was, I was just no, 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 no. And then my sister took me to Queen Center Mall to apply, and it was just so much easier because I was with her, I guess. And I talked to the manager right there, hired, and I thought I did such a great impression because my sister had worked at Macy's, and she just show off about it. What do you know when you're a kid? You just see somebody dressed up; they must be important, and they work at this high-end store. It's probably very expensive, and it was a minimum wage job. It's a little bit more. It was like 10 cents more than the minimum wage in New York City. They were paying me $7.35 an hour at that time. And I remember seeing those taxes and being like, I can't believe I'm working this hard and putting all these hours and I'm getting this back. I got to get a different job. That's how I thought of it. But there were a bunch of older people there, and their advice was disgusting. They come in, they're demoralized, and they're like, yeah, I've been doing this for 10, 15 years. I mean, if you like it, you're enjoying, you're doing well, that's a different story. But I want to talk about specifically um, when these people are copium, high on copium, they're coping. And they tell you basically this is life. Life sucks. You learn to be lazy from them. You see them being lazy, then when you're cool with them, don't work so hard. I came in with this attitude that's like a sports like attitude. Do your best, go. So naive at the time. And yeah, it was quite a rough work experience. But it's just the propaganda that's put in like it's an important job, and it's not. It's full of people who are like, not everyone was like this, but the grand majority were just a bunch of slackers. And really quick, I got a new job that was super chilled. It was in tourism, and I was getting paid a lot more and working a lot less. Well, not less, but not so stressed out and tired, and my feet hurt, and I got to get dressed up, and my hair got to look good. And I got to wear the nice shoes and do my. I learned how to do a tie during my time at Make. I was doing it so much, I basically learned how to tie a tie. I used to look at video at tutorial wiki tutorials online, and did I use YouTube videos? Maybe they. I don't think there was YouTube like that back then, but I figured it out. I figured it out. Um, yeah, and other places where I worked like that, it was the same thing. Where I had this mindset of just moving up, learning more, doing things I was interested in, and I always bumped into older people That their whole thing is the pension, the retirement. They're just telling you to chill. They're telling you life is fucked up. They're always arguing. And it's like they're trying to get you into this world. And they want you to not believe in yourself. And that's the whole programming that they want to run young men through. And it's easier said than done. But you really have all the tools. You have to acknowledge that. You have all the tools. You may not know. But that, if you have a vision of what you want to do, even if it's just like, I don't want to do this, you know, you got to move in the opposite direction. Sometimes that's enough. Enough is enough, as long as you're doing your best. And it's sad. It comes like from the people around you. You know, they want to tell you, why think about that? Why this? Why that? If you're an artist, that doesn't make sense. You're not going to make money as an artist. Why don't you become a whatever it is, input, whatever it is that just, it's not what you want to do. It could be, it's anything except what you want to do. It's about breaking the human spirit. And that is a source of evil. A lot of my videos on this channel, you see, I reference a lot the works of Ayn Rand. And one of the most evil characters ever conceived, Ellsworth Toohey, his whole gig of controlling everything and continuing evil, he's the personification of evil in the novel, is through envy. So he takes the great, makes them small, and then he takes the weak, elevates them to the standard so he can control and manipulate them. And he has his group of useless people that worship him because they need his approval, because they all work on the basis of approval rather than of competence, of morality, of sovereignty. And that's kind of what I'm proposing. That I know it's very difficult to see as a young man. You're 20, 21, 22. You know, all these old people, just work hard. Just like, they don't know. They lived in a different world. Your conditions now are way more challenging than they were. And only that is different. And not to say it's horrible, but there's also different type of solutions that are well within you that you have to choose an unconventional route. The conventional life is actually of the devil. Because I'm sure you have observed it from school when it's people who cheat, who lie, who just teacher's pet, and they get elevated. They follow orders, they repeat, they parrot. It's like you'll see it on a simple assignment like a book. This person didn't read the book, but they parroted what the teacher wanted, and it was fine. You read the book, you know, you learn at a different pace. It's not the same. You're not teacher's pet. All right. So there's, I kind of started off with that, but just to bring that back in, is you're coming from a whole system that's crippling you. And I want you to see that doesn't matter what they did. It's just thinking outside the box. That is the solution. Coming together with the people who share your values. That's another one that I hinted at, but didn't necessarily directly address. You as a man now have the ability to choose high value relationships. And those values are defined by you. You have to exercise consciousness that comes by reason. It's a volitional process. And you have to choose these values. So do you want to choose hang out with a bunch of bums and people who are liars and who like to gaslight and who are sneaky? Or do you want to be around people who are of their word, people who have goals that are shared to yours, people who are healthy in their body, who treat others with respect, who are honest, who have integrity? Again, I paint the choice is pretty clear. So the more you try to live the conventional life, you are going down their path. Let me see if I fucked up. The video didn't play. Okay. Because yesterday I filmed the video and I didn't turn on the mic. And it was amazing. Anyways. So to not keep this too long, wrap it up, the two main things. Don't realize that, yeah, you have been crippled. There's things that are great about you that you don't even know. That's the idea of shadow work. You have to look into these things that have been crippled, that the society says it's wrong, but you have to discover it. And when you see that, you learn to integrate it. Society fears you, but it shouldn't be this thing that is good for you to do harm and conquer. It's for you to embody the Creator, to embody the spirit of sovereignty, to embody the Christos, to embody um, the divine spark inside of you. And that comes through, again, not choosing the conventional life, choosing your own path and doing the right thing. You see that a lot of pain and suffering actually comes from people who look and appear very successful. You gotta have golden handcuffs. And yeah, not to get into that. So don't let society know that you have all the tools inside of you. Society is trying to convince you to stay weak and to be compliant and to worship the conventional life. Third, again, choose your own values, pursue high value relationships, and take actions with those things. You don't have to be alone and do it all alone. But sovereign minds attract sovereign tribes. You don't need to be with people who are all snakes, but people who believe and act on rational values and virtues. Everywhere they gather, they create great things, and that's what's preserved human civilization. Leave it there. If you find this valuable, I'd love to hear what you think. I really want to grow this channel. I used to have another big channel post-COVID. They shut me down. I used to have videos that have millions of views, honestly, and it was, the years of censorship. So I appreciate it if you share this with somebody. Um, Comment fear to help you overcome your fear. Check out the fear transmutation manual. I made it for that. For you, I understand what's going on. Transmute your fear into your strength. Your shadow, your fangs should be your power. And again, thank you so much for your time, for visiting the Warrior Philosopher channel. Be blessed and have an amazing day. Os.